Guys done a Dr. Daniels Patrick step yet? Number 5 on the knees.
Oh, I heard about it.
All right. We'll warm up with that today.
Okay.
So just taking one leg, really tighten the core, you're squeezing the glutes, bringing the other leg out. I always like to push that heel into the ground for a second. So you can even take this into a walk. Jeremy says it looks Tai Chi. After I've done it a few times, I'm like, yeah, he's kind of right. You're kind of like you're in your fighting stance or something. I think with me, I just haven't used my heels enough. And then I got into forefoot running, which helped a lot. But the heels, when we're walking, we should be heel striking. So you're kind of reaching out, pressing that heel down. If you want, you can take a step forward. Set the other heel in. Trying to let that grounded leg go knee over toe. And try to have the knee go over the foot, not crazy out to the side there. That's going to test the ankle mobility. So you could just do a few on each leg. Or leaning back, almost like we got the kettlebell. We're putting it in that rack position so the core is tight, the glutes are squeezing. It's definitely an exercise you could do with the kettlebell. Right now, just keep it right there. Get a good little burn right there. This is a good muscle for that tibialis anterior to strengthen it. For mom, you know, if you wanted to use her sticks. I'm doing the video for my mom, Heather. So sticks work.
Yeah.
Get about 10, 15 on each side.
Hiking ski poles.
Hiking ski poles.
Yeah.
Or that's fancy.
Teach her to keep her shoulders down.
Or up, you know, you never know.
Go at rocks. How hot is it there?
Pennsylvania? No, it doesn't get hot. Yeah, it does get hot. It gets buggy and muggy, so
Buggy.
it's not like a dry heat here. I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, there was like bugs around me. I'm like, oh, these bugs, I'm trying to do stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe in Pennsylvania where it's just like, forget about it. I'm complaining about like 2 bugs.
Yeah, it's just a little bug and they're dead and there's others too.
3 altogether.
3
I'm
altogether.
like, we have to spray something. And it's humid here right now. It's like 12 or 14.
I know. That's why the bugs are out.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I had a conversation with the UPS driver in Rifle the other night, and he was trying to tell me that my plane, when I landed, caused the humidity to go up, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
you're
right,
an
buddy.
idiot. But he was telling me it wasn't humid, and I'm like, my food, 24%.
Yeah, it feels like that here when it happens.
I never quite understand it. It's got to be with the clouds.
All right, let's go into some archers. Also very good. So trace, bring that right leg back. We'll do left leg forward. Measuring stick hands. Load that back foot a little bit. So we're not hinging yet. We're extending. Little glute squeeze, almost like we just did that Patrick step. Let's go long wing. Scoop up. Make sure you set that front foot. You're gripping the mat, almost like you're trying to pull the mat behind you. So feel your attention pressing out. Take our right thumb into the left palm. Big breath, lengthening. Exhale. Lead with that elbow, but also the hip is gonna open up. Actually, one of my favorite ones for the feet, because I really feel the feet working here. Back. Big inhale again. Let that right hip open up. Your eyes are still forward, but your torso should be facing off to your right. If you need to reset, reset. Get those feet digging in. Back foot is gripping the mat as you rotate. It's not going along for the ride. Just trying to maintain.
Heels up.
Heels up. So, but we've kind of weighted that back heel. We're not in the hinge here. You'll notice as you come back, you'll want to hinge back forward. Don't. Fight to keep that weight, maybe 60, 70% on the back heel where your balance is a little tested. Let's do one more good one. Let's keep that. Now we'll hinge. We'll hinge, find that hamstring tension, scoop up. And the trace is opposite now. Pushing off the back toe. Load at the front leg. Do one more. Let's hold at the very end with the elbow. Push a little deeper, hinge. Back up. Shake it off. Let's reset that other side. Maybe we could even Patrick step into it. How about that? Use what we learned. Peel that leg down. Measuring stick hands. Skull reach towards the ceiling. Open those arms. Scoop up. Now let's pull our weight backwards. Front foot gripping the mat. It's like there's a magnet on your back heel pulling you backwards. Heel doesn't touch though. Both feet are facing forward. Left thumb, right palm. Hip open. Try to make this one hard. I'm going to test that balance. Make sure the hip's rotating. And then closing. It's opening, then closing. You're going to feel all your leg muscles all the way down to your feet. Really challenged. Need the fan on already. Hold. Let it shake. All right. Hinge. So we're chopping that front hip back. You notice as you chop, that foot really grips the mat or the carpet. Hamstring tension. Long wing just to set the shoulders, get the neck long. Scoopy scoop. Hinge a little bit more. Now the weight's in the front foot. A little more knee bend there. Both you Heathers. As that knee goes forward, the hip pulls back. All right, right thumb. Tracing along the body. Really feel that tibialis anterior on this one. Hold. And back. Push that sphere of tension. Weight that back heel. Step forward. Shake out all that terribleness. Let's do some ankle rolls. Give me 10 more Patrick steps on each leg. Even me with my right leg, I can't go very far. And it's annoying. Just keep working on it. At home, you need to use some sticks. Just do it. Got a nice open field. Take it into the step. So you'll notice, especially as I'm pushing down there, you can see that Tibialis anterior really working. A little internal rotation. Remember, it's a dorsiflexor and internal rotator of that foot. So if I'm pushing with that heel, I'm pulling myself there. So using that muscle as well, just in a different dynamic. Get that other side. Trying to let that knee go over the toes. Glute squeeze, core squeeze, hollowing the body out. Where do you guys feel it? Quads? Maybe a little bit in the shins?
Yeah.
A little bit in your brain and your balance? Let's go on the mat. Let's get down with some artful bending here. Gonna hinge. Sweep that leg in. Good. Just embrace that little stretch right there. There we go. And then give it a hug. That little outer thigh to stretch. And then we're going to go 90-90, both legs kind of off to your left side. Sit up straight. And then kind of flip-flop back and forth. Push those feet into the ground. And then roll. Me, they're probably a little stiff, being lazy on a Saturday. Don't roll into each other.
The things are stuck.
Yes, they are. I could add a little step. You can go up on top of one, come back down, roll. I almost like to rotate, slowly lower the hips. A little control there, not just dropping your butt back down.
What's this called?
I just make these things up when I'm bored, okay?
You made it up?
I've seen somebody do it, and then I'm like, you know what, if we just go side to side, and then you can go here.
A lot of the mobility stuff that I do has this in it.
It does?
Add that foot. So do a little knee over toe, and back.
Little knee or toe.
Hit my head over here.
It's a brain thing. Like, how
There you go.
That's it. And then like going down is hard.
When you're done having fun, we'll
Do the quadruped hover.
Hmm?
So we can just do the quadruped hover now.
What's that one? This one?
You're
Oh,
good at keeping your back engaged here.
Oh, look at that.
soon. We'll do that one after. I'm already seated. So we did the anchored bridge last time. One thing we added was the heels pressing into the ground before we bring the big toes together. Almost like our Patrick step, right? We're pushing that heel into the ground, and that really helps us when we internally rotate, because sometimes we just rotate, it's kind of the whole leg. You really want that muscle to work there. You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm just lazy with it, you don't get that activation. If I press down, then turn, that's when you'll start to see that tendon, that tibialis anterior work there. On your backs, heels a couple inches apart. Dig those heels into the ground, almost like you're trying to push your whole body up. You'll notice that'll travel through your whole frame. As you dorsiflex, bring the big toes together, pull them towards your nose. Squeeze those inner thighs. And hands down at your sides. Just a light push into the ground with your fingertips and your elbows. And we'll inhale. Exhale, push the toes away. Inhale, back up. Big toes in, dorsiflex. You're gonna push the back of your head and your heels into the ground, your arms into the ground, and raise those hips up. Really push the heels into the ground. Almost like you're pulling your heels towards you as well. Slowly lower down. Right heel, left shin. Just trace that up. Left hand, press into that knee a little bit. Bring that heel down the shin. You'll find those muscles there. Let's do our breathing cycle again. Pointing that toe and pulling it towards you. Now we have that heel in the middle of that muscle. It's going to change how you feel when you're doing it. Get you a little more active. A little pin and stretch. It's also going to help that heel stay planted to the mat. Won't be flopping around as much. And you can move around. No reason to go too, the muscle starts right below the kneecap. So you can kind of start up there, work your way down about to the middle. No reason to go any lower, because it flips over to the other side and becomes a tendon. Let's do the other side. Trace up. Do the same thing, heel pressing in right below the kneecap. You gotta be pretty firm with that other leg. It actually activates that adductor on the inner thigh on the leg that's bent and crossed. I mean, you can already have that hand there too. Get a little isometric. It seems really simple, but it can be really hard depending on what you put into it. You're breathing, you're inhaling, you're pulling both toes towards you, but definitely the one that's grounded. Exhale, point the toe. And I probably was going a little too fast. You're watching my foot. You can take that in a 5-6 second inhale, 5, 6 seconds. Exhale. That really forces the foot to go through the full range of motion. It doesn't want to with that heel on there. It's like, oh, I don't want to go all the way because it's hard. It's like if I pin a muscle down in your shoulder and try to move your shoulder, you're like, hey, that doesn't move like normally because I'm blocking a certain structure, trying to get isolated movement. Because you'll notice if you just do that, the knee helps, even the hip helps. As soon as you pin something down, it's like, oh, that ankle has to go all by itself with something digging into the muscle that's moving. It's not going to be happy about it. Do one more bridge. Shake those heels out. You can do some rotations of the hip. Take it out to external rotation. Bring it back into internal rotation. Kick Mr. Phil over here. Kind of noticing my right hip's a little stuck, so I'm going to do that one again. Should see a chiropractor. Push those heels into the ground. It's almost like I'm trying to squeeze that little tiny space, that 2 inches, 3 inches in between the heels, squeezing those heels towards each other without them actually going towards each other. And we'll do this again today in a standing position. Give a little more understanding to it. Pull those big toes towards you, fingertips into the ground, elbows into the ground. Lengthen in the back of the skull, then press it into the ground. Big inhale, exhale, squeeze yourself off the mat. And you should sound a little funny when you're doing this one. Let's hear everybody talk. Check in, Jeremy. Sound funny?
Been holding this for a long time.
He's like,
I have been the whole time. I didn't do the hip rotations.
oh.
You've been hovering the whole time?
He's just a real man. He's been holding it for
Hoverer.
the whole 20 minutes. I really like how this feels in the shoulders too. But if your shoulders are taking away from your heels, take the shoulders away. Let the heels do the work. You'll feel that transfer to your hamstrings. You can bring that overhead. It is terrible. Oh, I don't like it. All right, relax out of that one. All right. Let's sit up. Just like that. Jeremy got it, good. Let's do a few of those. Those are tough. Okay, lower yourself down. I said slow. You gotta be kind of quick with it.
We're watching you.
Right there. If sit-ups weren't hard enough already, you can make them more challenging. What's great about this one is you can take that into a nice little
Oh, you're right.
get up without your hands. Feet, makes the feet work. We're always pushing off the ground. You have to use your hands, help you get up. Get a little drink break. How'd you guys feel with that last one? Starting to feel those leg muscles, the hamstrings.
Do you have a tip for when you're like this and then you go like this? My arch is cramped.
Probably a good thing.
Is it a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll them out.
Yeah, I could roll them out. I like, my favorite one right now is adding like a good kettlebell weight on this. This little foam roller here, which is nice because it's got some stuff. And it's kind of rolling that whole foot with some weight.
So I need a nubby thing like that.
We can get some knees over toes or a tennis ball.
Okay.
But I'll let you explore that.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Get your kettlebell there. I won't make you break your ankle with that one. That one's good too, is you're getting that plantar fascia. And there's a lot of little muscles under there too that can get tight and crampy.
All day yesterday, this toe was numb.
Well, that's not good.
No.
Usually when my feet cramp, I've learned to like kind of like embrace it. My wife's always like, just shake it out. I'm like, no, it's change. But that's how I feel about it. It's like, it will dissipate because you kind of feel like something's releasing.
It's gotta
And then most of us just shake it off, let it go. And it's like, that's a good thing. You know, it's usually is when it's in a weird stretch position, and then you can just feel it kind of letting it go. Exactly what's happening, I don't know, but tendons can get caught in their little sheaths, and sometimes that's what we feel. And it's slowly like kind of working its way through there, and that sheath will then start gliding better around that muscle.
I figured it was coming from something up here, maybe. This is helpful. I have a toe spa.
It's a little soft for me, but
So we're gonna do some bridge stuff, but I think it'd be good to counterbalance the quadruped Jeremy was talking about. So let me know if I got this right. Just kind of right there.
and then you want to push through your shoulders where if that, you know, like
More there.
just straight up and down, like if you were to like walk, but you don't want your shoulders dumped. You want to be pushing through.
Pushing through the
Yeah, you
shoulders.
don't want, like, you know, with push-ups, you want them.
And you want the knees kind of almost touching, right?
Yeah, and then 30 seconds for beginners is what you want to shoot for. Is just be able to hold this for 30 seconds.
10 breaths then.
And then you don't want to arch your back. You want it to be engaged, and you're sucking your belly belly button into your spine.
One more breath. Those heels, or those knees almost touching the ground, guys.
Sway them a little.
And relax out of it. So we'll come back to that one. So bridge, just to show you, I don't hate normal bridges. Do some variations here. So the normal bridge, you really want that core tight, those glutes squeezing at the top, coming up all the way there. It's okay if you press down on the mat to get that extra little bit. But let's all find that position. We're not going to do a lot of reps. We do a strong hold at the top. Another 10 breaths. So core tight, glutes squeeze. You're tucking the pelvis a little bit. Maybe drive the knees out at the top. That pelvis drive up towards the ceiling. Slowly lower back down. Back in the quadruped. So we're doing swings now, Jeremy, or do you want to add something else tricky to it?
Just swinging your knees back and forth would be good for.
All right, so I'll
Tricky when you start like. moving.
He always goes to the next level.
But yeah, just like.
it'd be like bumper cars in here. Okay. So make sure those knees are low, because you don't want the butt hiking up in the air. Almost like you're a tabletop. Someone's gonna put some wine glasses on your back. Don't let them fall off. Three more breaths. Good. Shake that out.
I used to be able to do that for a long time, and nowadays that's really hard.
So we could do a one-legged bridge. I kind of like it with the kettlebell. If you guys got yours. Probably gonna slide on me. Let me put it over here. So one foot on the bell. Those will work 'cause if the handle's away from you, it kind of acts as like a little kickstand. Probably won't work so well on this one. So same idea. We're gonna press up, squeeze all the body out. Other leg just in the air. Let's do some reps here. Lightly tap the tailbone down, press up. The bell's sliding on you. Just do it without.
Oh yeah.
10 each side. Good. My bell is sliding. All right, what do you want to add to the quadruped this time, Jeremy?
Were we supposed to do both sides?
Both sides, 10 each side. We'll wait for you.
I'm sorry.
Fastest 10 in your life. Pelvis is coming up all the way. You can get that bell a little closer to you, might help.
Hamstring thing.
You can just extend one arm.
I was gonna say, yeah, we could do like a bird dog version of it.
Yeah, just not use our legs yet.
Yeah. So what Jeremy's saying is we'll come up here, just gonna raise one arm.
You want to rotate as little as possible,
Yeah.
so try to keep your hips so square to the floor.
I'm switching each side, so yeah, if you want to do 20 or maybe 10 slow good ones. You could bring that elbow in, then reach to. Okay. Go into a standing position. You all are getting good. Legs are a little tired after that. Get a drink. We're gonna do some narrow founders. Maybe we'll just find a good video.
Went to Lorena. Oh, wait.
She does do a lot of narrow founders. Thank you for reminding me about Lorena.
Oh, Lorena? The Hawaiian. I don't know if she's Hawaiian, but she looks Hawaiian. That one.
We'll just do the inner. She does a good job. Let's apply a little bit of what we worked on. Let's apply the fan too while we're at it. So with the anchored bridge, we were kind of bringing both heels into the mat, rolling one in, rolling the other in. Just there, and kind of feel that transfer all the way up. Sometimes you just turn those in, you're like, yeah, I don't really feel it. Actively press that heel like you're dragging it behind you. Rotate that hip. Press the other heel in, rotate it to meet. You can really feel the arches start to grip there too. So you can play around that so you kind of feel like you got some good engagement. She might have you roll the hips in, she might not, so you can follow her cue on that. One thing I was just say is that heel, You already kind of activate that tibialis anterior, keeping it engaged, teaching it to work in a bit of more of a eccentric pose it's not used to. Everyone feeling that? A little different. Suctioning that foot to the ground, gripping the mat. Think about your Patrick step, you're stepping out. You can even do it that way. Bring the other one up there. Roll it in. For me, I know my right is weaker, so I'll set that one first, make sure that one's really got the good grip. Then you're pulling your whole body forward. Really good set on one foot. All right, ready for some Lorena?
Inner to outer. A lot of it is going to start from your feet being inner and then getting you to wide founder, and also using the anchoring systems. So let's start with big toes touching, heels apart, outside edges of your feet parallel. Ball the big toe, ball the pinky toe, and the heel should feel nicely rooted in. Pick up all 10 toes, spread them nice and wide, plant them back down. Unlock your knees, and imagine your jean pockets, the front jean pockets, coming in towards center, wrapping in towards center. Hands into measuring sticks, thumbs at the base of the rib, pinky right on top of that hip bone, elbows nice and wide, chin up, chest up, back of the neck nice and long. Let's take 2 decompression breaths here. Inhale through your nose, hold it up at the top. Slowly exhale. Inhale again, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Shake your arms out, shake everything out for a second. Let's start again, all the way from the bottom. Rooted with the 3 points of contact, ball the big toe, ball the pinky toe, and the heel. All 10 toes, pick them up, plant them back down, and shift your weight side to side. Feel the ground.
Guys want some rocks?
Your knees, wrapping your thighs together towards center. Hands into measuring sticks. Thumb at the base of the rib, pinky on top of your hip bone, elbow nice and wide, chin up, chest up, back neck nice and long. Decompression breath again. In through your nose. Hold it at the top. Exhale out through your mouth. Arms into the long wing. And I'm going to have you hinge your hip back just 1 inch. Imagine your fingertips are going to go through some honey. You're dipping your fingers in honey right now, so it's sludgy. And activating those lats. That's the muscle right underneath your armpit.
Squeeze those lemons.
Right here. And exhale. Energize your fingertips again. Inhale. Hold it at the top. And exhale. Keep wrapping those inner thighs towards center. Now I'm going to open my palms up and place the edge of the pinky here. We're going to have them place it right at your thighs, the outside of your thighs. Rotate externally at your shoulder. Let's take 2 decompression breaths here. Press those fingertips in. Arms back into long wing. Having all 10 fingertips meet into sphere of tension
Everyone hold that.
And then height of the forehead.
Hold height of the heart. Let's make sure we all got it. Shoulders down, head up. Good. Push your weight back into your heels a little bit more. Sphere of tension pressing away from you. Push out, push back, push tall. All right. Okay, unfortunately we lost myself here. We lost the mic. I don't know what happened. That's what I get for trying to run around and help people. So the rest of this, we're going to go back to Lorena, but we're going to go really wide. Nice little wide founder. It can set up. And I take the feet internally here. You can definitely start externally. I do that the second time you run through this. But the goal is you're going to dorsiflex, activating that tibialis anterior, and then try to move it internally. So dorsiflex, hold that in the dorsiflexion, bring it back down, peel it to the ground, internal rotation. And then I'm going to go ahead and show this with a prop. I'm going to use a little kettlebell. Even just a few inches kind of helps get a little get more out of your hips. You can see here in that position, a little bend in the spine. That's not the goal. We want to maintain a little bit of curve in the lower back. If you feel comfortable going down to the ground, that's fine. You feel like you kept the motion in your hips, go for it. Sometimes it's actually harder with a prop. Like I said, this isn't much, but it's enough where you can see I can keep a little bit more curve in that lower spine, demonstrating terrible form there with the rounding. Even a lot of people who are good, have lots of range of motion, they're very good at motioning from that lower spine. They just always do it. And it's hard to beat that out of them, teaching that, to expand that cylinder, teach the hips to hinge back. You're going to really feel that in your feet. So you're going to feel that in your legs, hamstrings. When you get the hinge right, it's very powerful. It's really, aggressive almost. Later, I had a great analogy of being in a vat of honey, because Lorena in her video talks about dipping your hands in honey. The vat of honey is right above your nose. You want to get big and tall first, and then you're keeping that length in your spine as you're hinging and pretending you're pushing your whole body through that thick, viscous honey, trying to get down there. So 5 dorsiflexions each side, each time turning in. And you don't have to start as internally rotated. You can start externally rotated. Most people are kind of more comfortable there. And then you can work your feet in towards internal rotation. The last set, we'll spend some more time that there. So you can just use your imagination. For Lorena again here, we're going to skip to the end of her video. So after you've done these, you can take a little break. And we'll get back into Lorena, so you can just follow the cues there. I'm not going to talk through it. And then I'll come back in, check in you one more time. All right, welcome back. Finishing up with one last internal founder here. Starting really with those heels. Remember, you're squeezing the mat with the heels. It really helps activate the whole legs. And we are really focusing on turning the hips in, rolling them in. As you hinge, too, it's another good point. With that hinge, you're bringing the hips back. Remember, you're not motioning from the low back. The whole spine's really lengthened. Those hips are going to roll in even more. I always like the idea of like one of those old scrolls, with the two ends, not just like, as we think of one scroll, it's just one little wooden thing. It was two wooden things rolling closed. Is how they would have had it, rolling together. Your two femurs internally rotating toward each other. I always have my head in a bit of extension. That's just because I have a lot of trap tension. So you're going to find your tension where you find your tension. I actually rather see somebody more like this, where their head is looking up. Because remember that occiput back of the skull, you got your nuchal ligament, but you also got those spinal erectors running up and down the whole spine from your sacrum all the way up. That thoracolumbar fascia. We got lots of different muscles. We talk about the posterior chain, these transversal spinalis muscles, the multifidus, all intersecting there. Good video to get some visuals on those. Check out SI joint force closure. I think right now it's still sitting at the top of my YouTube page. So that we'll run through some good anatomy. Talk about the slings of the body, longitudinal, the oblique slings, anterior and posterior oblique slings, which help close down the SI joints. Because remember, we don't want to be motioning from the SI joints here. We want to be motioning from the hips. So the more lumbopelvic stability, right? We want the pelvis and the spine actually to be stable, not moving. We want the hips to be the ones that are articulating, hinging. So here is really great because it's very focused on very subtle hinge, but stability. Getting that subtle hinge without that spine, without those SI joints helping those hips. So if this isn't hard, it will become hard once you start to wrap your head around that idea, and it is a bit of a difficult idea. So I like pulling that head back. Sometimes if you're looking up too much at the ceiling, like I'm noticing here, I'm like, well, I could probably pull that chin in as I do that, a little more glute squeeze. It all depends on what you want to focus on that day. If you're feeling good tension and you're shaky, you feel good after, forget about what you look like or looking like the person on the screen. That's not the goal, because we all have different areas of tension. So we'll go back in one round of wide founder now. So we're taking those same adductors that were probably really uncomfortable, really achy, and really tired when I was doing those. Just 2 minutes of that stuff, really rough. Now we're taking those adductors, putting them in a lengthened position. That's an eccentric contraction. That's what I'm talking about right now, how they're angry and sad. Lengthened position, engaging. We're wrinkling the mat. Think about taking the mat, squeezing it, and that's another way to challenge that muscle. It's like the same thing I described with your hamstrings, I think in the last video, is they're in this short position, and we think short's good and strong, but then they're weak as soon as we start lengthening them, as soon as we start like going into certain positions like a hinge or a squat or a reverse lunge. They become very weak and unstable, and balance of proprioception is very important here. So a lot of this is just body awareness, getting your brain to connect with your body and what you're supposed to be doing, and breathing, the simple things, right? Hinging, not the simple things, but the things we do every day. We hinge all day long, and we breathe all day long. Every motion really is a hinge motion, sitting, hinging motion, or it could be spine bending. It should be a hinging motion. Walking should be a hinging motion. Walking up steps. In the gym, you're doing lots of hip motion. Joint that should be moving a lot more than it is. So really taking the time here, I'm going to be a little more careful. Going down, hinging. Sometimes you rush it. That's when the spine wants to bend, because you move things fast. That's when the spine's like, let me help. A lot of those little set joints, they're good at flexing and extending, helping out the rest of your body, helping out your shoulders, helping out your hips. And that all relates to what's going on with your feet and why you have chronic sprains. So tibialis anterior, it's one of those muscles you got to watch out for. So we can get a lot of activation here. We can make it strong, not just in one position, but a lot of different positions. Challenge it in different ways. So start with the feet a little more externally rotated this time. Same thing. 5 dorsiflexions, nice and slow. Time it with your breath. Use a prop if you need to. Fingers are spread. I'm not putting a ton of weight in those fingers. Sometimes I forget about that. They're just kind of there. Enough to where you're kind of not resting into the fingers, but you're almost pushing the fingers into the ground, which drives the rest of your body up into a better tabletop position. Hands on your shins, press those hands into those shins. Get that posture, get that chest up, slide those hands up, nice and slow. I really like this slow rise. You can feel your core is still engaged, it's still holding on. Hit another long wing for me. Out into that sphere of tension. We're going to hold, and we're going to take the hips back just a little bit, tiny bit. A lot of people really want to drive the hands away. Get those hands, elbows bent close to your body. Make sure that the arms respond. Hips come back, the arms go out. Hips come out, back, the arms go out equally. If the hips are only come back like a little centimeter, only let the arms go out a little bit. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Except at the end here, which we will do exactly that. Now that we brought the hips back maximally, we're breathing it, right? We're doing it with our breath, right? Inhale. Sink a little deeper. Then you can float your hands up overhead. Hips aren't going anymore. We got them back as far as possible. If you're weighted too much in the heels, this becomes a problem because you'll throw yourself backwards. And I've always had a problem with this. First my problem was getting my weight into my heels and then doing it too much. We can't forget the balls of the foot should also be supporting us as well. So make sure you're pushing into the balls of the feet as well. Ball the big toe, ball the little toe, creating that good transverse arch, runs across all the metatarsals. And what I'm going to talk about here is the slings, which was mentioned previously. So check out that video, Force Closure, if you want to hear more about that. You do want to hear more about that. It's very important. And I also make the point, the ultimate point, right, is why we're doing this is pathology from stress, right? Stress is the number one cause of disease. We can blame toxicity, and we can blame emotional, and we can also blame trauma. I think trauma is just overlooked because people miss micro trauma. They're like, well, I didn't do anything. This must be something else. Can't be trauma. Micro trauma is trauma over time. It sneaks up on you, and a lot of times it's, oh, I didn't do anything. Oh, you did. You did. It's not that you didn't do anything. It's it is that you didn't do anything. You should be preventing this stuff, and it just starts with 5 minutes a day. Breathing, changing what the body's doing, taking stress off these nerves, allowing your organs to function, feel better. Like this guy had a heart attack. He was healthy all his life. Well, was he really healthy? Just because you diet and you exercise, but have you focused on these mechanics, this breath, and really training parts of the body that should be moving? Because people that move and run a lot can share the same degenerative patterns as somebody who just sits all day long, right? It's not that you move more. It's how you're moving that's important. So a little bit of training goes a long way for when you do want to move. That way you'll be benefiting the areas that need it, and the areas that need stability will have stability. Just demonstrating the hinging process one more. Don't motion from the low back. Don't let the spine do it. Let the hips do it. And you'll feel it when you feel it. It's like riding a bike. Like, oh, I got it. Now I feel it in my legs. Powerful engagement. Just your hips all the way down. But that starts with the breath, right? That's why the breath and the hinge are so combined, is the breath sets the stabilization through using the psoas. And if you're in class, we talked about the pso right at this point as well. So I'll probably have a video on how I made my pso right soon. I've made a few. I really like the design. It's good for getting both iliacus and psoas, but I'll show you what else it's really good for and how to make it, because it's a pretty simple design. Otherwise, guys, sorry this got cut off. I think I've talked pretty much about everything that we talked about in class, and soon we'll be covering proprioception in a little bit more detail, because this really leads into balance and our feet and what goes on when we injure something. Because we injure a tendon, it becomes mechanically deaf. So we'll get into that and what proprioception is related to, as far as these areas of injury that develop in the tendon, how we need to rehab them and wake them back up, make them strong again. Because anytime you sprain, strain, we say sprain or strain, you're like, what is it? Which one is it? If it's a muscular, it's a strain. If it's a ligament, it's a sprain. But people will use that interchangeably, ultimately, because usually if you're hurting your foot and you're spraining or straining, you're probably doing both. If a tendon's getting damaged, you probably have ligamentous damage as well. Tendon will usually heal faster than a ligament, but they go out together. Sometimes a bad sprain is worse than breaking a bone, right? Because bones will heal really fast. Yeah, they literally create blood flow, right? The blood cells. Tendons, not such great, arterial connection, right? They don't receive a lot of blood, so they're slow healers. Ligaments, even worse. That's why discs may not ever heal, right? They can, just how we approach it, how we got to take the stress off, and it takes a long time to heal. That's why a lot of people are not patient enough with this stuff, with foundation training. Like, I did it 3 days in a row, there's no change in my back pain. I injured a rib doing some crazy lifts the other day. I just went too heavy, doing overhead press. So I had a rib out in my back, doing foundation training. About 2 weeks. Now it's feeling stable again. You know, I wasn't like going to the chiropractor every day, like pop this. So I knew I was injured. Yeah, I got adjusted once. I'm like, okay, it's still there. I'm not going to go back to the chiropractor. You missed it. You missed that spot. Hit it again. Maybe they did. But ultimately, fix yourself, right? Especially with stuff like this, it's going to take time. You got adjusted. You're good. Be patient. Let the body heal. Right? So trying to manipulate things and pop things, it's a strength issue. All right. Little psoas action, kettlebell. Works really well for that. You'll also see the psoas in that force closure video, so check that out. I'm going to shut up now because I will keep going. Cannot stop. I'm like a machine. Foundation training biomechanic machine. Hope this helps you guys. Have a great day.